Hey, a new analysis by Redfin shows in some major cities it is cheaper to buy a home than to rent these days, and Houston is one of those cities. To help explain why, I'm here with real estate expert Tricia Turner of Tricia Turner Properties Group. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, so we have this conversation from time to time. I think, when interest rates change, it's like, well, what's hotter right now, or what's cheaper to buy or to rent? So where are we now?
All right, so when we look at this, and you have to think too, so when we went through the pandemic, we were in a real housing shortage. And as inventory continued to decrease, a lot of homeowners capitalized on selling their home for much more than they could have, pulling that equity out, of course. But they could not find a home to go to, so they ended up as renters. So what we've seen is apartment demand increase like crazy. So apartments have built and built and built, and we've seen them everywhere. So right now, pretty much, especially with interest rates going up and down, there's areas in Houston, thankfully, where you can still buy a home cheaper than renting, which of course is a better investment. Yeah,
right. So what are some of those areas? Like, what are the hot parts of town right now?
West Houston is super hot because they're building like crazy. You've got a lot of land, a lot of areas to develop, and a lot of people are moving to the suburbs, of course, to raise their kids and for schools. So you can get really good deals there because there's a lot of inventory versus renting. And then when you look at renting versus buying, because our interest rates are a little bit higher than they were normally, it's a good time still to buy. Real estate's your soundest investment. And when you kind of look at like apartments and as your whole grand scheme of things, apartment deposits are high. They're charging more for pet deposits now. They're charging additional rent for pets. So when you look at like, what does it cost you to get into an apartment with all of your fees? If you could get into a home for almost the same amount, it's a much sounder investment.
Interesting. So it seems like a lot of things, maybe it's not buyer's remorse so much, but you're caught like, oh, it's whatever the rent is, $1,000, and then they start adding things. You come to the total and you're like, wow, this is a little more expensive than I thought.
It is. However, the market that we're in right now, and this too may change, but the market that we're in right now, it's really a buyer's market, and people are going to tell you differently, but it's really a buyer's market. Because homes are sitting on the market, they're not moving, because sellers are in a lower interest rate, so they don't want to sell, and we're in a higher interest rate than we've been. However, for a buyer, they can get into a home right now and probably negotiate with the seller, if they've got a real estate expert helping them, of course, to get them to buy the points down on their interest rate and get a great rate. So it's a great time to buy.
Get some savings out of it. So you got any advice for first-time buyers?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely get with a financial advisor, an expert, because you've got to know, you've got to have your finances in order. Banks are a little bit stricter than they have been, of course, because of all the banking industries collapsing and all that. So get with a financial advisor, make sure you've got all your ducks in a row, and make sure you can do this. Is this a good time for you to buy, or do you need to rent for another year?
Okay, so that's your first step then.
Absolutely.
Maybe in the past it was an easier decision when interest rates were so low. It's like, hey, if you can get a house, just go get one. But now we have to be maybe a little more diligent about making that deal.
We do, and when you look at things like, number one, is the house in a declining market, or is the house in an inclining market? So is this a good investment? And of course, if you are not with an expert, you're not going to know. But real estate is still one of the soundest investments. If you buy right, in Houston especially, in the next 2 years, you're going to have appreciation in your home, and you're going to be able to get your money back plus some.
Okay, now you've been operating where mostly you said in West Houston. So what areas where you guys work?
So we're in Katy, Fulshear, Richmond, all the West Houston area. We have a big team. We sell about 200 homes a year, and so we're very familiar with this market.
There's been quite a bit of development out in your area. Is there more coming? I mean, what do you see for that part of the city?
Especially the Fulshear area, because there's land there. And Richmond, Fort Bend County is huge, and all the development there. A lot of people are moving there for schools. A lot of the tax rates are much lower there. So great walkability for a lot of things. Lots of restaurants. Yeah, definitely.
What do you find for commuters? I mean, are people still moving out to Katy and then making that trip back into the city? Or are you finding more businesses and such moving out there so that the headquarters and whatnot are closer?
Actually, since COVID, a lot of people started working from home. Nowadays, the people are having to go back into their offices. So what you've seen, especially us in the real estate world, a lot of people are becoming entrepreneurs.
Really?
Yes, a lot. They want to work from home, and so they're trying to think, what can I do to stay home?
So now you're looking for a home office, right?
Yes.
Tricia, thanks for coming in today. Really
Thank you for having me.
appreciate it. And for more on this interview and our rest of our exclusive content, you can go to clicktohouston.com/scene at 7. Happy house hunting out there.